Hey everyone, welcome back to On Purpose, the place you come to become a happier, healthier, and more healed. Today's guest is someone that I've wanted to talk to for quite some time now because she's going to help us do exactly that. Dr. Shannon Ritchie is a physical therapist and the founder of Evelo Fitness, a rapidly growing science-backed fitness platform helping thousands of people rethink everything they've been taught about exercise. If you feel like you're doing everything right in the gym, but still not seeing results, this conversation will change the way you think about fitness. Please welcome to On Purpose, Shannon Ritchie. Shannon, it's great to have you here.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
A lot of us are trying to apply all this advice we hear on social media and on the internet and everywhere else, but we're not seeing the change in our body.
Yes.
And you've spent years now helping people do exactly this. So the first thing I want to do with you is actually start by busting some myths. I want to dive right in.
Oh, yay. Okay.
Because I feel like we should just get right in there.
Let's do it. Yes.
The first one is you'll only lose weight if you're doing tons of cardio.
This is such a pervasive one. And I think that the reason it's so damaging is because A, it doesn't really work. And I'll explain why in a moment. And B, it makes us believe that our workouts need to smash us in order to be effective. And what people do is they add endless amounts of exercise and they don't see results. So they either give up and burn out and they become less active overall, which we know is not good, or they double down and they work even harder. And this burns them out more. And as a physical therapist, I saw this all the time. Then you're in my office with joint pain and disrupted hormones and you feel horrible. You have a horrible mindset around exercise. So I think that when you learn the science, it really helps you focus on the right things. And more than that, it helps you redefine what an effective workout looks like and your mindset around exercise improves. So all that to say, here's why exercise is just not a very efficient tool for fat loss. So studies consistently find that adding cardio without nutritional changes results in really underwhelming weight loss, maybe just a few pounds over a year. And that's a long time to be working out really hard and only have like a few pounds of a difference. And the reason for this is because our body compensates. So our body doesn't like large energy deficits. So as we add more exercise, your body adapts to burn fewer calories in other places throughout your body so that you stay within this narrow window of calorie expenditure. So overall, we're burning far fewer calories than we think when we add exercise. And at the same time, people typically can easily eat to replace those calories or sometimes even overeat because they've overestimated how much they've burned. And this can make them either not see very great results or sometimes even gain weight when they're adding exercise, feeling like they're working really hard and not seeing results. So that's why I just like to recommend separating exercise and fat loss. If fat loss is your goal, you're so much better off focusing on nutrition and strength training, which hopefully we can get into a lot, but strength training so that you are at least maintaining or maybe even building muscle so that any weight loss is coming from fat, not muscle.
The next one is no pain, no gain, which I think kind of speaks to what you just spoke about, like this idea of just destroying yourself in the gym. But what's your take on no pain, no gain?
I think that this comes from decades of marketing and messaging that, especially in American culture, that we need to hustle and we need to work harder. And then if it doesn't hurt and it's not brutal, it's not going to change your body. And like I just discussed, we see that that type of workout doesn't necessarily result in a lot of weight loss or body composition changes, which is typically why people do those types of workouts. So you feel like you're working out really, really hard, but you're not actually seeing results. So I like to teach people, okay, what is the stimulus that does change your body composition? And you'll find that when you apply the right things, you no longer feel like you have to smash yourself. You no longer feel like no pain, no gain is the only way. And when you start to do this, not only will you see better results, but you'll feel more consistent with exercise because it doesn't physically drain you as much and it doesn't mentally drain you as much. It's easier to show up for. It's what we call gentle consistency. So yeah, I'm not a believer in no pain, no gain.
Okay, very, very clear again. This one, running ruins your knees.
Running does not ruin your knees if it's in the right amounts. If you overdo any forms of exercise, your joints will pay for it. And again, I saw this as a physical therapist all the time. You get tendonitis from overuse or joint wear and tear. So adding running doesn't inherently wreck your knees. It's that it has to be in the right amounts and you have to progress up to it appropriately. The problem is many people start running again to lose weight and they overdo it and they don't see the weight loss. So they either add more, burn themselves out, and their body hurts because it's just too much for their body to handle. Their body hasn't adapted to that stress yet.
Got it. Wow. I feel like I'm learning so much already.
Good.
And I feel like these are things that we hear everywhere, right? Like these are things that your parents said to you, your friends are saying to you, and they kind of get stuck in our minds and then we never even question them.
Right.
And so, okay,
Right.
got a couple more of these before we dive into some deeper subjects here. You must work out every day.
I do not believe that you should work out every day, at least not intense exercise every day. Your body needs recovery. If we look at, I like to think about exercise as this stimulus, recovery, adaptation loop. And you need all three of those things. So the stimulus is the workout, and what you do in your workout matters. There is high quality stimulus and low quality stimulus. We can get into all of this, but you need a high quality stimulus, and then you need to give your body time to adapt and repair. And that repair process is the magic. And that's what people want to skip right past and just go right up to the adaptation of the results because they're impatient and they just want to see results faster. But your body does not adapt when it is overstressed. It adapts when it gets the appropriate stress. It has time to recover. And then that's when you build muscle, improve endurance, improve whatever you're setting out to do. So recovery is a big piece of that. And so I do believe that taking days off, active recovery days, it's not like you're just sitting on the couch all day long. We still want to be active overall, but taking days off structured exercise is very important.
Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to have my 2 days off.
You're welcome. You take 2, which is exactly what I would recommend.
Okay, great.
Take those days. You still want to do things, but not smashing your body because your body needs time to repair.
Yeah.
Otherwise you'll just spin in chronic low grade inflammation. So yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
You're doing just the right thing. Yeah.
Okay. A couple more of these. Women shouldn't lift heavy weights because it will make them bulky.
This is not true. If we look at this bulky appearance, that typically involves a lot of muscle mass. And muscle mass takes at least 3 months to build substantial amounts of it. And beyond that, it takes years to develop these physiques that most women would consider bulky. So lifting heavy does not inherently create that bulky appearance. What creates that bulky appearance is usually years of training, usually training at high volumes, and potentially also having fat on top of your body so that you just have more mass in general. So yes, that is a myth that lifting heavy weights immediately makes you bulky.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one's lasted far too long.
Too long.
Okay, this one, let's do abs are made in the kitchen.
This is kind of true, kind of not. So you can build your abdominal muscles through focused abdominal work. But in order to see the muscle underneath, and this goes for any muscle, not just your abdominals, you have to have less body fat on top to see the muscle. And this goes for your shoulder muscles, your leg muscles, all of the muscles. But we think of the abs as different than the rest of our body for some reason. But yes, so in order to see the muscle underneath, you have to have a low enough body fat percentage. So diet is important for that. But also you can build your abdominal muscles through exercise. So it's a little bit of both.
Hey, brilliant. Great start. This is very useful already to kind of get us out of these kind of limiting beliefs that we have, these structures that have kind of been set up over time. And I feel like so much of working out and so much of getting fit and healthy, if someone listened to all your advice today and they practically applied it, they followed your program, what would change in their life?
The first thing is just seeing better physical results. I think that is important for people, not only aesthetically, but your health. Having more muscle and having a more fit body is important for our health. But beyond that, smashing your body less and having a better relationship with your body and exercise and not feeling guilty for taking days off, not feeling guilty when you take a week off for vacation, knowing that not everything is going to fall apart if you back off a little bit or if you're sick. So helping people understand the science of how our body adapts and changes really is this holistic approach. You see better results, you have a better mindset around your body and exercise, and your body feels better physically. You don't feel so worn down and depleted and exhausted because you're not smashing yourself every single day.
Yeah, it feels like there's such a mindset piece there as well.
Yes.
Because what you're saying is we're trying to accelerate those results. We want to see them ASAP. And because of that, we'll push ourselves to our limits. Those limits mean we give up sooner. We can't stick to a schedule. And then all of a sudden in 2 months, if you're lucky, you're giving up, if not in 2 weeks, because you're just so exhausted and depleted.
Yes. And I see that cycle over and over and over and over. And it's one of the reasons why people are not seeing results, because we have the rest of our lives to work out, which means we need to be smart about how we're treating our bodies. We can't put our bodies through the ringer and expect that to be sustainable. And so the sooner you can learn the stimulus that changes your body, because I'm not saying that your workout should be easy. I'm not saying that, but I am saying having the correct effort and placing your body under correct load in the right amounts, adding in cardio, having your rest days, having this balanced approach will get you so much further than this kind of start, stop, yo-yo mentality that so many of us kind of end up doing. And I even have my own experience with this because I've been in the fitness industry for like 15 years. And so I've taken all of the certifications, done all the things. And 5-10 years ago, I was smashing my body with exercise. I was doing all of the things that women are taught to do to get fit. Light weights, high rep, no recovery days, trying to burn as many calories as possible, trying to get really sweaty. And all this did for my body was leave me with so-so fitness results. Like it kind of got me a little bit of the way there, but I was like, oh, I'm just not working hard enough. I need to go work harder. And my body had chronic pain all over. So at the age of 24, I felt like I was 90. My body was completely falling apart. My wrists were always hurting. I had chronic back pain, hip pain. But this is what so many of us are taught. And this, as a physical therapist, when I was practicing, I saw so many of my patients dealing with the same things. They thought that they weren't seeing results because they just weren't working hard enough, but their body hurt all over because of their workout. So I do think that when you can shift to what works, because when I shifted, I got in the best shape of my life. I built 8 pounds of muscle and lost 5 pounds of fat over 1 year. And over that time, I worked out for far less than I ever had. I used to work out for like 60 minutes and then started working out for like 35 minutes. Rarely did I burn very many calories or break a sweat. My body didn't hurt. I had a better mindset around exercise. And yes, I also saw the best physical results that I had ever seen. So yeah, it comes from first understanding and learning the science and then applying it over and over and over and giving your body long enough.
What's something that science has taught you about our bodies that you think we're unaware of or ignore?
I think one of the biggest mistakes I see, like we talked about, is using exercise as a tool to burn fat or lose fat or using it as your primary tool. But then what people do is they're like, okay, I'm going to use my workouts to build muscle. Great. Love that. But they still end up doing the wrong workouts that don't build muscle. And one kind of really helpful reframe that helped me is differentiating between muscle fatigue and muscle failure. So the science shows that to build muscle, you need to train close to failure in every single exercise, every single set. You don't have to train all the way to failure. You can, or you can stop 1 to 3 reps shy. So failure means that you are physically unable to do another rep. So let's say you're doing bicep curls. You cannot physically do another rep despite your best efforts. You can do anywhere from 4-ish reps all the way up to 30 reps or anywhere in between. You can just choose what you prefer, but your last rep needs to be really challenging. But I think often what people do is they confuse fatigue with failure. I used to do this all the time. I would go to a group fitness class and be holding like a lunge position for like 3-5 minutes straight. And that feels really hard and really fatiguing and lots of burn, lots of shake. But fatigue does not reliably build muscle. Failure does. So one really helpful tool that I like to give people that's changed the game for me and for our membership and many people that I talk to is called the rest test. So this will help you differentiate between fatigue and muscle failure.
I want to know this. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll have to try this too in your next workout. So what you do is do your final rep. And if you think you are at failure or near failure, set the weight down, break for like 5 seconds, shake out, take a tiny little break, just a few seconds. Pick up the weights and try to do more reps. If you could do 3 or more reps, you were just fatigued, you were not close to true muscular failure. And so that just means go up and weight next time or do more reps so that you get closer to that true muscular failure point, because that will be the potent stimulus that changes your body so much more than fatigue will.
That's huge. I mean, that's such a big one, I feel like. And it's something that my body naturally makes me want to do.
Yes.
Like I noticed that,
Yes.
like if I've done 10 reps of something and we're trying to get to 15, at 10, my body's like, all right, I need to take a little 3-second break.
Yes.
I need to put the weights down, shake it off,
Yes.
pick them back up. And then I'm like, oh, I could do another 10 now. And you're saying I have to. That's what you're saying, is that I should do another 10 if I can, rather than just hit the 15.
Well, what I'm saying is when it starts to get hard around that 10 rep range, those are the most stimulating reps. So the reps where you are closest to failure are the most important ones.
Right.
So let's say you're trying to go to 15 and at 10, that's when you're starting to struggle.
Yeah.
That is the time to push through and continue trying to get to 15. Even if you don't get to 15, it's not about the number. It's about proximity to failure. So on that 10th rep, you're really, really struggling. Try to do a couple more reps. Try not to break, because that means you're reaching a big percentage of the muscle overall. You're reaching what's called your type 2 muscle fibers. They're the ones that kick in when you have a powerful stimulus and there's a lot of mechanical tension. So those last few reps are the most important.
Got it. So actually I shouldn't pause at 10.
Shouldn't.
I should push myself to maybe 12 or whatever's realistic, then shake it off. And then what should I do after that?
Then shake it off. If you find you could pick your weights up and do 3 or more reps, that means the weight wasn't heavy enough. So that means go heavier and try to get to whatever rep range you can do I like to not count reps, and this is like kind of controversial.
Oh, okay, go on.
Because I think when you put 15 in your head, you grab a weight that you feel like you could do for 15, but really you could probably do 20, 30 with that weight. Whereas if you just grab a weight that feels challenging and you're like, I don't know how many reps I could do, maybe somewhere between like 8 and 15, anywhere in there is great because all of that will work for muscle growth. And you just do as many as you possibly can. You often surprise yourself at how strong you are and how many reps you can do. And like I said, getting close to that muscular failure point is the most important part, but it's that piece that so many people are missing because they're stopping when they're tired.
I fully agree with you. I know for a fact that when I'm telling my brain I've only got to do 10 of these,
yes,
I've just programmed my upper limit. And there are times when I'll do 10 and I know I could have done 13.
Yes.
But I'm only trying to hit 10 anyway.
You're like, I did 10. I did what I was supposed to do.
I did the thing, yeah.
Totally. But that set might not be very stimulating. If you apply this one tool, it can change your results.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like I've been sometimes doing it right, but I can tell I'm doing it wrong too. Like what is the cost of stopping at 10 and then just doing another set? Like what is the cost of not listening to your advice?
Growing muscle. We see that if you want to build muscle, those are the most important reps. This isn't to say that doing 10 reps and you could do 15. That's not to say that those 10 reps are useless. You're still building strength. You're building neuromuscular connection. You are improving your stability. All of those things are important adaptations that come along with strength training. But when it comes to building muscle, those last few reps just can't be cheated.
Let's stick on this building muscle thing as well on it already.
Yes.
I assume that's one of the top 3 things people come to you with.
Yes.
Yes. So we're talking about this rep range. We're talking about the ability to push past, know the difference between fatigue and failure. What else are we getting wrong about building muscle? Because that's something that I think you've clarified that for me in a way that I haven't heard before. And that's huge for me.
Good.
And I know I can take that into my next workout, which is tomorrow, thankfully. No,
yes.
Tomorrow's Wednesday. Yes, tomorrow. Yes. Tomorrow's not Thursday. So yes, tomorrow I can take that into my workout.
Let me know how it goes.
And I love that because I'm going to be thinking about that the whole time.
Good.
So when I start a set and my trainer who I have, my PT is going to say to me, we're going to do 4 rounds of this. And we're usually doing 4 rounds of roughly 3 activities.
Great. Love it.
Right. And then we're doing another 4 rounds of another 3 activities.
Great.
And then maybe doing another 3 rounds of another 2 or 3 activities.
Great.
In one workout.
I think structure is very important. So which muscle groups you're working on which day.
Yes.
We talked about the importance of recovery. I recommend working each muscle group 2-ish times on non-consecutive days in 1 week. You can split your strength training workouts into 3 to 5 strength training workouts, taking those 2 recovery days, and making sure that you have about 48 hours of recovery in between your muscle groups. Mm-hmm. So let's say you work glutes on Monday, you probably don't want to work your glutes again until Wednesday at the earliest. Your body needs that recovery time. It's so crucial. But I think what a lot of people do is they want to change their glutes or change their abs or change their arms. And so they'll work that muscle group every single day. But the problem is when you do that, you're not giving your body enough recovery. And the recovery is when you repair and adapt. So that's really crucial. So that's one mistake that I think people make. It sounds like you are already doing this in your training routine, which is great.
Yeah, so that's good. So for muscle building, we've got knowing the difference between failure and fatigue.
Yes.
It's huge. And then the second one is making sure that the repair time is at least 48 hours before hitting that muscle group again.
Yes.
Because just overworking that muscle isn't going to win. I think I do have that right. I think I did find for a long time that I was underworking a muscle group too. So like you just said, I should try, if I have 5 workouts and I'm doing say back and buys or chest and tries, I need to get 2 days of each.
If you can.
Ideally in a week.
Yes.
Because I think for a long time I was doing 1 of each and I wasn't seeing the benefit either because I was doing the muscle group too little now.
Yes. And we see there was a recent meta-analysis about this that found that twice a week is the sweet spot for muscle growth. And that frequency matters, hitting that muscle group again. And this is just yet another reason why you can't smash yourself in your workout because you know you have to turn around and work that muscle group again in a few days in order to keep compounding those results.
How sore should you feel if I'm working a muscle group? So like you gave the example, you worked your glutes on a Monday, you're going to work them again on a Wednesday. Like how sore do you want to feel on a Monday and the Tuesday before you get back to it on Wednesday?
Such a good question. I think this is something that holds a lot of people back. Light to no muscle soreness is ideal. And I think that we over-index on soreness because it's proof that we worked that muscle. It feels satisfying. It feels good. But studies consistently show that it's a poor indication of muscle growth. Soreness typically happens when you do a new movement pattern or if you add significant load or challenge to the muscle that you're not used to. And soreness typically happens when there is damage to the muscle or connective tissue like fascia. And that causes an inflammation cycle, which causes the tissues to be sensitive. So that's what soreness is. But we just consistently see that it's not a very good way to measure if your workout worked. And so again, because we want to hit those muscle groups again in a few days, we want light to no muscle soreness so that you can show up to your next workout and put in really high quality stimulus for those muscles. And that's what, again, keeps compounding those results.
And do you think a big part of that is also bad sleep?
Yes.
In terms of the soreness piece, or is it really to do with just pushing yourself so hard?
That's so interesting. I wonder if there is literature that says you get more sore if you are underslept. I'm not sure, but just based on what I understand about the body, it does make sense.
Yeah.
It means that you are under recovered. So if you are chronically sore, yeah, you're under recovering, which is not beneficial. People think like, oh, I'm so sore all the time. That means I'm seeing results. But the results, again, are happening when you are allowing your body time to recover. So yeah, I think that if you're so sore all the time and you're still applying all these principles that we're talking about, maybe it means that you need to dial back volume or frequency slightly so that you can work within your own recovery capacity. Because it's easy to say like sleep more. Like everyone knows sleep is so important. But if you're like me, I have a baby and I'm like, well, it is what it is. I can't get as much sleep as I would like to. In a perfect world, I would love to get 9 hours, but that's just not practical for me right now. So I might kind of dial back my intensity or my volume a little bit so that I'm staying within my own recovery window. And
what you're saying is that even in the case that you have 2 beautiful babies under 2,
yes,
that hasn't necessarily negatively affected muscle building for you if your sleep recovery is not as strong. Or have you felt the difference?
I don't think I have. I think I have continued to see results even with 2 under 2. And I think that I knew the power of all of this like before having this, but now I'm in the most chaotic season of my life ever. Like running a business with 2 under 2 is just wild. And yet I'm still getting stronger than I've ever been. And it just goes to show the power of all of this. Like if you are giving your body the right signals over and over and over and over, you're not going to feel under recovered. You just won't. If we're going to the extremes of this and you're only getting like 4 hours of sleep and all of those things, like, yes, you do need to back things off from what we're recommending. But for the most part, most average Americans can do exactly what we're saying and see great results and recover from it.
This is such helpful advice. Everything you're saying feels practical and doable. And it's also reassuring to me because I feel that light to moderate soreness.
Good.
And I've been questioning whether I'm not pushing hard enough because I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not working out hard enough and maybe I need to increase the intensity of my workout. And hearing that from you is so helpful because I actually walk into my morning workout feeling pretty refreshed.
Yes.
And really excited to work out because my body feels like it can take on more rather than walking into it going, oh my gosh, I'm still really sore from yesterday. The only time I ever feel that is after leg day.
Yes.
There's something about legs that like only feel worse 24 hours and 48 hours in. Is that normal?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they're just bigger muscle groups and quads specifically. I don't know if you find quads anecdotally. And again, I've looked this up and I'm not sure what the reason is, but quads and glutes tend to get more sore.
Right.
And that could be because, and again, this is like up for debate, but there's an interesting theory that soreness actually is from more fascial damage rather than muscle tissue damage. Fascia is richly innervated, which means that it's very sensitive. So when you're working bigger muscles that just have more fascia surrounding the muscles, there's a higher ceiling for more damage in the fascia. So that's what creates more soreness. So I just like to say, like, just don't worry too much about soreness. If you're constantly sore, it probably means you're doing too much or you could afford to take an extra recovery day or something like that. But I just don't recommend chasing soreness because it's just not a very reliable indicator.
Yeah, don't chase soreness. Okay, got it. And in terms of, as we're still focusing on building muscle, the way we're currently talking about is we're splitting up groups.
Yes.
So I was saying back and bis, triceps, you're talking chest and tris, you're talking, is that the way you think about building muscle? Or is there another way to think about it? Am I getting it wrong?
Yes, absolutely. There's so many different ways you could split up your muscle work. I will say exercise selection is very important. So you want to bias one muscle group at a time. Don't choose an exercise that works your upper body and lower body at the same time because as we talked about, training to failure is really important. And when you're working upper body and lower body in the same exercise, it's difficult to know, are my arms the limiting factor? Yeah. Are my legs the limiting factor? Or am I just stopping because I hit 10 reps and that's what the trainer told me to do? So separating, doing arm workout separate from your leg workout, core workout separate from your leg workout, and keeping each muscle group separate tends to be more effective and productive. But you can split that work into whatever makes sense for you in your life. I like to do, I do 5 strength training workouts that are 35 minutes. So they're not very long. It's just the FLO5 time per week track. Monday's upper body. So we're working 3 to 4 muscle groups in the upper body. Tuesday's lower body. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are a mix of full body. So we are making sure to separate each muscle group so that you're not working the same muscle group on consecutive days. But that's not necessarily the only way you can split it up. You can do it as you were talking about. You can do back and bi one day, or chest and tri, and then legs, or however makes sense for you. There's so many different ways to kind of slice and dice it.
Okay, good to know. I'm not making sure that my workout makes sense.
I got you.
Yeah,
It does. It's checking all the boxes.
I'm checking it out for you. That makes sense. Is there something I could be doing to build muscle faster?
Yes. You can build muscle faster when you increase what's called volume. So sets taken close to failure. So studies show, I'd like to kind of back this up and talk about the minimum effective dose, because I think this is really important for people to understand what's the minimum that I need to be doing to see results. And then we can play and work on that and build upon that, and talk about kind of the maximum as well. So the minimum effective dose for muscle growth is around 4 sets per muscle group per week. So 4 sets of glutes, 4 sets of quads, 4 sets of chest, 4 sets of shoulders spread across your week. That's kind of the minimum amount that we see will reliably build muscle. Mm-hmm. Some studies find even 1 hard set per muscle group per week, but I like to recommend 4. From there, you can build upon that. So we do moderate volume in EVLO just because it's really easy to recover from. It is effective and your workouts don't take a long time. So it's really easy to show up for, but it's very effective. So our volume tends to be around 6 to 8 sets per muscle group per week, but you can do more than that and continue to see gains. You're just seeing diminished returns as you add more than like 10 sets per muscle group per week. But yes, you can do higher volume work and see faster muscle growth. Just make sure that you're recovering, because if you're not recovering, then you're not growing.
Yeah. Is there anything that I've missed about building muscle?
We didn't talk about protein, did we?
No.
Yes. So protein is, and I am not formally trained in nutrition, so I like to keep this really high level and leave that to the RDs like your wife. But protein is essential, and how you're fueling to rebuild your muscle tissue is essential. So the RDs that we work with typically recommend 0.75 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. Anecdotally, I have found that when I stay on the higher end of that, I do see better results.
Wow.
Yeah. So I used to not track my food, and I wasn't building muscle. And when I started tracking, I noticed that I was eating about half the amount that I should to build muscle. And I was like, okay, no wonder I'm not seeing muscle growth. So I upped my protein, and that really did help me. So that's, I guess, another way to make sure that you're building muscle faster.
So when I was doing that, what I found is that I was just getting bigger overall. So I was building more muscle for sure, but my body was just getting bigger. And so I've literally got like end of last year. No, it was end of the year before last. Sorry. So it was like 2 years ago where I really started following that protein goal.
Yeah.
And if I showed you a picture of me now versus a picture of me then, I couldn't fit into my suits. I couldn't my pants were all growing in size. And that was me it wasn't like, it was protein. It wasn't sugars and fats or carbs. It was,
right.
I was eating that dose of protein. I didn't like what was happening. And I don't know if I wasn't doing enough cardio. I never really figured it out. I just realized I didn't like that much bulk. And so I cut down on my protein, but that's also slowed down my muscle build.
Yes.
So talk to me about what was happening then 2 years ago when I was eating the recommended dose of protein, but I just looked, felt, and was bigger.
Yes.
And like I said, I couldn't fit into my clothes. Everything was tighter. I definitely, I just felt like I was putting on weight more than building muscle.
I'm so glad you're bringing this up, because I think this is a very common goal for people. They want what's called body recomposition. So they want more muscle, but they don't want more fat, or they want less fat. And this is a process that involves proper nutrition. So like we said, enough protein, but also potentially a slight calorie deficit, or even in your eating in your calorie maintenance, and then proper strength training. So, and you do need to do cardio. Cardio is important for keeping your overall energy expenditure high, but you don't need to overdo the cardio or rely on cardio to lose fat, because then you're just going to overdo it. So when you have those principles, you're eating in a slight calorie deficit or at your maintenance, and that might involve tracking. And I know tracking isn't for everyone, but if you do have that goal, it might be illuminating to take a week and just kind of track your food and see where you're landing on your overall calories, see where you're landing on your overall protein. Because my guess is maybe you were unintentionally trying to get more protein and eating in a calorie surplus. So
100%.
Maybe,
I didn't realize that.
Yes, you might have been gaining fat and muscle at the same time. And that's typically going back to that bulky conversation. That can happen to women when they're gaining lean mass, they're gaining muscle mass, but they're also gaining fat mass at the same time because they're unintentionally eating in a calorie surplus. So the reason I like body recomposition is kind of that quote unquote toned look that a lot of people are searching for. But the reason I like body recomposition is because it makes you focus on your muscle mass, which is crucial for women as we age, all people. We are under muscled as a society. And so when we focus on our muscle, everything else kind of falls into place. You can't under fuel or you won't build muscle. You can't overtrain or you won't build muscle. So applying all of the nutrition and strength training things together will maybe be a slower process, but so much more sustainable. And you'll end up being a lot happier with the aesthetic outcome of that.
I think you're spot on. I think without knowing, I was eating around 3,000 calories a day. And like I need to be at 2,500 and if I'm in a deficit, like at a 2,000 or 2,200 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was definitely doing that. And not only was I not happy about just like not being able to fit into my normal clothes or whatever it was also not leading to the results that I was looking for.
Yeah.
And so what I've had to do, and I wanted to get your sense on this. So now I do about 80 to 100 grams of protein, which is significantly less than what I was doing. So before I was doing like 150 or something like that. Now I'm at like 80 to 100 grams of protein a day. Mm-hmm. Is that just slowing down how long it takes to build muscle for me? But that is also more aligned with my goals because I'm able to do that with a calorie deficit. Whereas if I was to hit 150 grams, I'd probably be in a calorie surplus. Obviously, I'm plant-based, so that applies to it. Yeah. But also because, honestly, I was struggling with my gut was not enjoying eating 150 grams of protein. Yeah, totally. My gut just couldn't take that. Do you hear that at all from people where they just can't digest that amount of protein? Or?
Yes, especially if they're using lots of like powders and stuff. I hear that a lot. Training stimulus is the most important for muscle growth. You do need protein, and protein, eating at a higher amount of protein might make your workout more effective. But it doesn't mean that you won't build muscle at all. The training stimulus is the most important part. So I love what you're saying because I think there is kind of guardrails around these things. Like these are the recommendations of what you can do, but you can tinker within this and find what works best in your own lifestyle and what you can stay consistent with. Because the truth is you're probably building muscle. It just might be slower than if you were eating 150 grams per day.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I need to find a way to, I'm testing different protein sources as well.
Love.
Being plant-based,
yes.
Like really feeling like the powders and the bars and stuff are just not great. Mm-hmm. And trying to find them naturally, but without adding the calorie surplus.
It's so hard.
Which is like a really interesting dynamic.
Yes, it's so hard because like if you're eating tofu and beans and things, to get that amount of protein without being in a overall calorie surplus is difficult. It is hard. What does your wife think about all that?
No, she agrees. We're both tinkering with this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I wanted to have this very open and honest conversation with you here on the show is because I think this is the kind of stuff people are really dealing with and struggling too.
Totally.
Where they're just like, well, what about this and what about this? And it's good to hear from you that, hey, you can be personalized about it and it is going to look different for everyone. And
totally.
But being real about what that means and what your results look like and then not having these, crazy expectations.
Totally. And it's just going to take time for you to learn what you can fit into your life. I talk about this all the time with like exercise selection. We've been taught that we have to do squats and overhead presses and deadlifts. But what we see from the literature is there is a wide variety of exercises that will be effective to build muscle. So you just choose the ones that feel good in your body, that you enjoy, that you can take close to true muscular failure. I think a lot of people can relate to this. Like, let's say you're doing an exercise that you hate. I used to hate Bulgarian split squats.
Oh, I still hate Bulgarian split squats.
Like something switched in me and now I love them. I don't know what happened, but
we can't be friends anymore.
Yeah, right. I know. A lot of people hate them. And it's understandable. They're very hard. But if you hate Bulgarian split squats, you're more likely to stop that exercise because of overall discomfort or boredom, or you're just ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
Rather than taking that exercise close to true muscular failure. So instead of doing the Bulgarian split squat, which you don't like, let's choose a different exercise that targets the same muscle group. Maybe you're targeting glutes. Maybe you love hip thrusts and you find I can reliably get close to failure every single time in hip thrust. I don't feel distracted. I feel locked in. Like it feels very satisfying. Just do the hip thrusts and you're more likely to see better results because you're training closer to true muscular failure. You're not stopping because of discomfort or boredom or any of those things.
I'm telling my trainer that.
Yeah, does he make you do the hard things?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, all the hard things. I'm going to tell him. I'm going to be like, look, like I heard from Shannon that I don't need to do these Bulgarian split squats anymore.
Well, it's like, and I know a lot of people will fight me about that, but it's
No, I get the point. The point makes sense.
The point is, and it makes you more consistent, because if you know your workout will be filled with exercises that feel really good for your body, and this isn't to say that anything goes. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying that your workout should be easy. But when you choose exercises that really work with your body, because exercise is physics, a lot of the reason why we don't like an exercise could be because of the physical length of our bones. For example, in squats, you might have longer legs, longer femurs. And so you have to bend forward more in a squat just to keep yourself from falling over. So squats might feel really low backy for you. And therefore you might feel like, I don't feel comfortable in a squat. I feel like it's going to hurt my back. I don't like them. I don't feel like I can push close to failure. So a barbell squat might not be the best exercise for you, but that's your body proportions. There's nothing wrong with you. You can just choose a different exercise and carry on.
If you're pushing to failure, is there a difference between heavyweight, low reps or lightweight, high reps?
You can see the same strength and muscle growth whether you are lifting 4 reps all the way up to 30 reps. As long as your final rep is to failure or near muscular failure, you can use anywhere in between. That might evolve based on your training status, based on the day, based on the exercise. Some exercises I love to go really heavy and do like 4 or 6 reps. And some exercises I prefer to go a little lighter and do like 8 to 12 reps. You can do all the way up to 30. 30 is kind of brutal.
30
but
reps.
Yeah, you can do up to 30 reps. Science shows
in one go.
In one go. If you train close to failure. The problem with doing that high of rep is people typically stop because of fatigue. Like we talked about earlier, they don't stop because of true muscular failure. Yeah. But knowing that you have the option of I could do 4, I could do 30, I could do anywhere in between, then you can choose a weight that feels comfortable for you, because I think that's a barrier for a lot of women, especially, is they're like, I don't want to lift heavy. Muscle building isn't for me because I don't want to go lift heavy. Well, you can lift relatively light and go for 20 reps and see the same muscle growth as if you were to lift a heavy barbell for 4 reps, as long as you're training close to failure.
There's such a myth around just wanting to lift heavier and lift more. And